Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bucket Think Tank for why you should read Action Comics and Action Comics 1000. So, Action Comics has reached 1000 issues, and had I known that, I would have timed the video coming out next week to this week. But regardless, that video is going to be important because it sort of delves into what I think Action Comics is doing and what it's supposed to do and why people should read it. And the current state of DC now with Action Comics and Superman is more of a story about Clark Kent, his wife Lois, and their son John, and just watching them all go through adventures together and whatnot. It's really sweet, really fun stuff. Where Action Comics feels more about, Superman hitting the ground running, as a superhero, going around there inspiring people, and it sort of poses the question as to what makes a hero or a superhero. That, in my mind, is sort of the differences between Action Comics and Superman. It's sort of the same way that Detective Comics is more of a Batman and family story, where the main Batman book is more of a Bruce Wayne story in a lot of ways. At least that's how I've always interpreted it. So, Action Comics 1000 sets out to do two things. Give these really great stories from a bunch of different writers, just to celebrate, Superman hitting 1000 issues with Action Comics. And at the same time, introduce Brian Michael Bendis' new run with a little teaser for his book Man of Steel. Whether you're excited about Bendis or not, that story does leave you interested. It should leave you interested, especially with the Jim Lee art, So I think the former is way more interesting, just because there's so much of it. I mean, 1,000 issues, 1,000 stories ish about Superman, and what Superman is, what he should stand for. That is something that you really only would get in manga, I think, for the most part. And they don't even really reach 1,000. They usually stop almost close to 1,000. But what makes that great, what makes it great because of all those stories, you have this really great understanding of the character. With DC and Marvel characters, they're not just written so many times. No, they're interpreted so many times as to exactly what these characters should be, how their core concepts can be challenged. That's something I'd really love to see the manga industry take on at some point, but whatever. But these stories here remain true to the character of Superman and what he goes through. Whether it's Brad Metzler taking on a Superman story about him being inspired by the courage of a woman who's got a gun to her head, or Tom King giving this really beautiful and touching story about how Superman is saying goodbye to his adopted parents as the planet's finally about to be burned by the sun, a billion years in the future. It's all really great, really touching stuff, really simplistic. We have Scott Snyder having Superman and Lex Luthor talk about Smallville, about a little moment that they shared that they didn't even realize. And it ultimately is what changed and what stops Lex from, this really interesting plan to kill Superman. He's like, no, you know what? I don't want to do it. We have a story about Jeff Johns telling a story about the car that is destroyed in Action Comics #1. We have Peter J. Tomasi telling a story of Superman essentially finding his way through his own continuity. Or even Dan Jurgens just having a story where Metropolis and a superhero and even some supervillains, come together to help Superman as they sort of as the city shows their appreciation for him. It all goes back to what really makes Superman great outside of just all the things he can do. Yes, he can leap tall buildings, he can fly around the world, sometimes fast enough to reverse time. At one point, he could fire little rainbows from his fingertips. That's interesting, to be sure, but I think what sums up Superman, in my opinion, as a hero, is the stories where he's just doing something that requires very little superpowers. Like when he's just talking to this kid or this woman from jumping off this building, which would kill them, or when he helps this kid, fix his bike in Injustice. This is a Superman that inspires you to believe in tomorrow, to make you want to be better. That, I think, is what Superman is at his core, and that's sort of what these stories are. It shows that at the end of the day, this is just a really cool guy. He's got all these powers, but his powers are only one part of what makes him a superhero. So next up was Bendis, and his bit of the book was a teaser for, again, his book Man of Steel, where Superman and Supergirl are just getting wrecked by this being called Rogol Zar. And he says he's here to cleanse the galaxy of the Kryptonian plague, as he promised Jor-El. And the comic ends as he declares that it was he who destroyed Krypton. And this idea isn't terrible per se. It's not a revolutionary idea, I don't think. But what is the idea supposed to be? Jor-El wanted Krypton and his kind gone, but how does that tie into him sending Clark away? If he wants them all gone, then there's no point in sending Clark away. Did he change his mind and then think Rogol Zar wouldn't go check? I don't know. Then how does this tie into, Jor-El being signed away by Dr. Manhattan to become Mr. Oz along those lines? It's weird, but, this might either just be a story we haven't gotten fully fleshed out on. It was only like 4 pages, so, give it time. Or this could be Bendis already going in and ignoring continuity. Or this could just be a solo story like Batman White Knight. A little fun story, doesn't have an actual place in the main continuity, just something you have fun with. I'm hoping it's that one. But anyway, with that in mind, we'll just bring the video to a close here. If you've read Action Comics, whether this run or a previous one, leave your favorite story down there, your least favorite, and leave your thoughts on Bendis coming, or anything along those lines. Feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Check out some of our other videos, and I will catch you all later. This is the Bug Think Tank signing out. May your fandom serve you well.